In the series of Raja Yoga Shloka Sangraha, the fifth shloka gives us a very practical suggestion where to start, how to go about. One thing very important that we can recognize in the fifth shloka is yoga is not something what you do, but yoga is something what you live. That's why he covers the life aspect in that particular fifth shloka. Yukta ahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapna avabodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkhaha. Yoga is available for those people, a yoga which takes away our misery and takes us to our natural state of happiness, bliss, Anandamaya Kosha. With the help of these following instructions that he says, Yukta ahara, yukta vihara, yukta cheshthaha and karmasu, swapna avabhodasyaha also to be yukta. Now, this word yoga and yukta, they are almost like similar. Let me spend a little time on that. Basically, if you look at your whole day's journey, it's nothing but what you get, what you give, what the way that you live, this is all it covers. It's not that what you do on the mat for an hour, that's what is yoga. But yoga has to be something which has to be adapted in all these activities in the daily life. At the time of Krishna, probably food was not that complicated as it is today. So that's why he just said one simple word called as Yukta Ahara. But today I think we need to really go deeper into that. Similarly, Yukta Vihara, even that is also something. Probably those days people used to really work hard. And naturally when you tire yourself, you get good sleep. But then today, the relaxation is not that simple. We need to really struggle for that. The karma that you do and the way attitude with which that we do also is something what Krishna classifies in that particular shloka. Now, each one of them is very deep in their concept. I would not get into all those things because the time is short. So let me spend my little time on the first simple aspect called as Yukta Ahara. The suitable Ahara. What is that suitable Ahara for the yoga? Basically, Ahara that we take for the sake of to take care of our hunger, and that is converted into energy so that we are able to function. This is what is Ahara. But then what kind of Ahara, what type of Ahara is supposed to be the right kind of Ahara is that kind of Ahara food which gives you freedom from the body itself, which is natural. Look at the animal in the forest. They don't abuse with their hunger, they don't abuse with their food. They eat as much as the hunger permits. When the hunger is not there, they don't go for eating. These days on the YouTube, you get very nice information many times. A tiger, after having good meal, was resting in the grass. A deer, not noticing that the tiger is there, came so close to the tiger was almost disturbed from the sleep, raised his head. When the tiger raised the head, you can see what happened in the case of deer. Got frightened. After all, deer knows that he is the ready meal hot meal from microwave in front of the tiger. But then the tiger's stomach was full, looked at the deer, yawned and slept back. Did not pounce on the deer. The deer also knows that when the tiger's stomach is full, he is safe. So he continued to graze there. Did not even run away from there. The commentator said something very beautiful. He said, the tigers are not violent, they eat food only when they are hungry. Which means, violence is not whether you eat vegetarian, non-vegetarian, this and that, but violence is when you are not hungry and eating food. You are not violent against the world outside, you are violent against yourself. Poor fellow, stomach depends totally on you, and then you violate on the stomach. Tigers do not eat food when they are not hungry. That's why you don't find in a jungle, Bandipur forest, you do not find an obese tiger. In Bangalore, you find obese people. They don't abuse. A food that is required for the sake of hunger, that's what is yukta ahara. A food that is not required for the hunger, but it tries to give you to take care of your desire, your greed, that is ayukta ahara. Very simple idea. So before you eat food, sit down and think of it. Do you really have to have that food or not? Before you serve one more spoon of food, just think of it whether you really need it or you are punishing your stomach. Yukta ahara. These days people have invented so many other concepts behind it. They say, no, eat all the food. Don't waste food. Because the people in Ethiopia do not have food. I don't know why you have to eat food because people do not have food in Ethiopia. While serving itself, you take little food, whatever that you really require. So that means to say, while serving, while eating, you constantly need to have your awareness. This is what is yukta ahara. Yoga essential component is awareness. Another very important aspect is all these qualities of food which we say, sattva, rajas, tamas, etc. My definition for all those things are very simple. The kind of food which you take, the quantity of food and the quality of food that you take will give you freedom from the hunger, freedom from the body level, will allow you to function free from the body awareness is kind of yukta ahara. That's what is the sattvic food. The food that you take, even after taking the food, continues to draw your attention on the body level by its overactivity is supposed to be rajasic food. And the food that takes away your awareness by putting you into stupor or slumber for several hours after taking the food is supposed to be tamasic ahara. It's a very simple definition. If you want to try that, you can do that. In your food today you take couple of 3-4 extra chilies, then you can see what is meant by rajasic ahara. And it is you are the yardstick for that. It's not that somebody has to tell, some Krishna has to say to you. No, you can find out because your system tells you. And what your system tells is much more important than what the others talk about. Because essentially a lot of these food habits come from your native culture, your native climatic conditions, etc. Somebody who is coming from Andhra, for him no chili is rajasic, everything is sattvic chili only. Because he is used to that. But for somebody who is coming from a Scandinavian country, the very sight of chili will push them out into rajasic food. So, what is rajasic food for you may not be rajasic food for others. What is sattvic food for you may not be sattvic food for others. We have nice, wonderful sattvic food in the ashram. Somebody from Andhra comes and says, what a bland food it is. See, that means to say for him, it is not the right kind of ahara. So, essentially, we need to understand that sattvic, rajasic, tamasic are the kind of foods which, what kind of an effect has on your system. And the rajasic food is that food which can give you freedom from the body level. Now, not only the kind of food is rajasic, but the quantity of food. You might take sattvic food like idli, but if you take 30 idlis, it is tamasic. Have a limit. So quantity is also important, and then frequency is also important. Yukta ahara. I visited some house. Morning breakfast, 5 items, followed by something to munch, followed by chai. Afterwards, just all those things, there is a soda. I mean, going on and on and on. Where is the question of end of a breakfast so that I can start lunch? Never there is a gap between breakfast and lunch. Quantity, quality. Often, yoga people talk about vegetarian food. There is some reason behind it, because yoga is essentially, we try to de-identify from the body level and then we go to the consciousness level. That's what is important. Anandamaya Kosha is our natural consciousness itself, and we identify with that. Annamaya Kosha is the body level. So that means we care for, we give importance to consciousness. So vegetarian food has connections with and vegetarian food goes together. There are a few factors that are there why vegetarian becomes an important aspect of it. Many times I come across people saying that, oh, you are a vegetarian, you don't know what you are missing. As if vegetarian is an ancient culture and eating meat is something which is like you have to develop. In fact, many times even people told me also, I think you need to grow. Because their concept is, child drinks only milk and then some little porridge, something like that. Child grows to become non-vegetarian. That's what is some people have the concept. I told them, my dear friend, after all food you take, I have no objection if you take the non-vegetarian food. Because basically, the caveman used to eat non-vegetarian. In fact, he used to eat raw meat. One day, accidentally, after thousands of years of his being, that meat fell into the fire. He thought he lost the meat, but then he ate it. It was tastier. Then he found out cooking the meat. Later on, several years of progress of man developed what is called as agrarian revolution. Because without agriculture, you cannot produce pulse, garlic, barley, etc., all these things, rice and wheat. So all these material, vegetarian stuff is produced after the agrarian revolution. That means to say, thousands and thousands of years of progress of man has developed man to become vegetarian. And there also, if you have such variety of vegetarian, how much of research must have gone to mankind? So that means, basically today if you go to the Bangalore dosa camp, there are 300 varieties of dosa. Means how much of progress research must have happened in the vegetarian food. So that means to say, vegetarianism from the anthropological point of view is the latest development over the meat eating. So I tell my friends, look, you want to have the latest computer, you want to have latest house to live, you don't anymore live in the cave, you want to have the latest model of car, everything you would like to have most developed, but why do you want to go back to the caveman's food? You need to come to latest food, that's what is the vegetarian diet. Second thing is, after all, food is taken for the sake of energy. And the only source of energy on this earth is the sun. Sun is the only source of energy. And whatever that you take through the skin, that's what is the pigment. And that the only source on this earth which preserves the sun's energy, stores the sun's energy, is the plant through the chlorophyll. There is no other source on this earth which stores the sun's energy. And the plant is the first primary source of sun's energy. And plants are eaten by the insects, are eaten by the birds, or the animals and all that. So they are secondary, tertiary sources of sun's energy. When I require energy, let me go to the primary source of energy. Why do I go to the secondary and tertiary sources? Is it not wise? Alright, coming to the consideration of the food. Economic aspect of it, it is said that researchers have shown that if you are a non-vegetarian, you have to require at least 10 acres of land where you grow the animals and the birds, and you kill the animals and eat the meat, you require 10 acres of land. Whereas if you are a vegetarian, you require 1.5 acres of land. What is the big thing that I am doing on this earth that I have to become? 10 acres of land I have to grab from this earth for my living when I can manage with 1.5 acres? Is it not simple? Wiser? Another important aspect is, often people say that non-violence, killing animals, but plants also have life. We need to understand about this consciousness. The matter is something where consciousness has become matter, but there is no manifested consciousness. Whereas in the case of plants, the first level where the manifested consciousness, which means basically the plants grow by themselves. Matter does not grow by itself. Plants grow. And where the self-growing property is there, that's what we call it as prana. Animals also do have. But then plants do not have the freedom of locomotion. Animals move. And because the animals have locomotion, naturally they have also a attitude of fighting or flighting for the sake of their life. That comes in the case of animals. Plants do not have it. So, and man is much more evolved species in this sense. So when you want to survive, you go to the least. Matter cannot survive you alone. We require, the next thing is, that's what is the plants. Only where the plants are exhausted, plants are not there, then we go to the next higher level like the animals. Probably in the case of the cold climates where 5 to 6 months it's always cold, or in ocean where people do not get any vegetation, people were eating meat, but otherwise in the plains, respecting the consciousness is to be with the vegetarian diet. So these are all various considerations that are there, make yogi to become vegetarian. This is a small little aspect of yukta ahara. If I want to take care of all other aspects of it, volumes can be talked about it. Let me stop it at this level. If we can get the message that this is what is the real way that we understand about the food, I think we have served the purpose. Thank you.